Inflation data for the June quarter came out this week. Overall inflation was 1% in the quarter. That means that prices were up 3.8% over the whole year. That's still too high, but it's a lot lower than where we were a year or so ago. It's also exactly what we were expecting. The crucial trimmed mean measure of trend inflation was 0.8 in the quarter. And that was a little bit below what we were expecting and noticeably below what some of the other forecasts out there. The Reserve Bank would be comforted by the inflation result this week. They've been worried that inflation will remain sticky and not come down fast enough. But this week's result shows that inflation is indeed coming down on the trajectory they were hoping for. And that means that interest rates can remain on hold at next week's meeting. Other similar economies have also been seeing inflation come down. There have been some lumps and bumps along the way that caused room for doubt. But overall, we're seeing inflation come down right around the world as pandemic-related forces fade. We think Australia is no different from its peers. Yes, there have been some upside surprises, but the latest data show that inflation is indeed declining back to the 2 to 3% target range, broadly at the pace that the Reserve Bank is trying to achieve. And that means that it will soon be time to start cutting interest rates. Monetary policy is currently tight. It can't stay that way forever. If it did, the economy would weaken and inflation would end up going below the 2 to 3% target range, and there's no benefit to that. Now, monetary policy works with a lag, and that means that central banks like the Reserve Bank have to start cutting rates before inflation is all the way back to target. So rate cuts are on the cards. Not immediately, but provided things turn out as we expect over the next few months, later in the year. We still think that the most likely start date is at the November meeting.
The content of this recording is informational and of general nature only, and is not intended to constitute a research report or reflect any recommendation or financial advice. It has been prepared without taking into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs, and investment decisions should not be based on it. You should obtain your own independent advice before proceeding with any investment decision. Whilst every effort has been taken to ensure that the contents are correct and any opinions, forecasts, conclusions are reasonably held based on information at the date of recording, Westpac does not make any representation or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of the statements or information contained in this recording, and any liability therefore is expressly disclaimed to the extent permitted by law. None of the material included in this recording should be copied, published, or reproduced in whole or in part without the prior written permission of Westpac.